All right, welcome to another deep dive. You guys ended a ton of research this time on digital growth strategies, especially SEO. So we're going to dive deep into that today. You've been looking at like the real nitty-gritty of SEO, but then also broader digital marketing stuff. And
Right.
even it looks like some freelancing ideas are mixed in there too.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting mix.
It is, it is. And one thing that really struck me is over 60% of web traffic now comes from mobile. Like, that's huge. That just shows you how important this stuff is if you want to succeed online these days. So to help us connect the dots and like really pull out the gold from all this research, I've got our amazing expert here. Where do you think we should start with all of this?
Well, since you've been looking into SEO a lot, let's start with that. I think a lot of people think SEO is just about shoving a ton of keywords into your content. But it's way more than that. It's about making really great content that people actually want to read. It's about making sure your website is technically sound. And it's about making sure that the experience for people visiting your website is really good.
Okay, so it's kind of like a three-legged stool. You need all three of those things to really have a strong online presence. And it seems like you've been really digging into that technical side of things.
Yeah, for sure. And when we're talking about the technical side of SEO, we have to talk about website speed optimization.
Mhm.
I see you've been checking out Google Page Speed Insights. What are your thoughts on that tool so far?
Honestly, I played around with it,
Okay.
but sometimes it's a little bit like I get lost in the technical stuff. Like I know that things like minifying code and using CDNs are important, but I don't always understand why they matter so much. Can you maybe break that down a bit?
Of course.
Yeah.
So think of your website code like a really messy room. Stuff everywhere, hard to find anything. Minifying code is like cleaning your room, getting rid of all the extra spaces and stuff. So it's all nice and compact and loads faster. CDNs, on the other hand, are kind of like having a bunch of warehouses all over the world that store your website's files. So no matter where someone is visiting your website from, they can get those files from the closest warehouse, which makes things super fast.
Oh, that makes sense. So it's all about making the code like really lean and then delivering it to people really efficiently.
Exactly.
Okay, what about responsive design? I know that's important for mobile users, but beyond that, how does that tie into SEO?
Well, Google has actually said straight up that having a mobile-friendly website is a ranking factor. And, like we were saying before, over 60% of traffic comes from mobile. So Google wants to make sure that people on phones have a good experience. If your website is clunky and hard to use on a phone, it's going to hurt your search rankings.
That makes sense. I'm not a programmer, though. What can I do to make sure my website is mobile friendly?
There are some really great tools out there that can help, even if you're not like a coding master. I see you were looking at Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS. Those are frameworks that give you pre-built components and styles. So you can create responsive designs way easier.
So it's like having building blocks for your website,
Mm.
making it easier to make a layout that works on any screen size. Cool, cool. And I also see you've been looking at structured data markup. I'll admit, that one always sounds kind of intimidating to me. Can you explain that one and like why it's important?
Okay, so think of structured data markup like you're giving Google a cheat sheet to understand your content. You're basically adding labels to your content using this vocabulary called schema.org. So Google knows exactly what each piece of content is about. This lets Google show those cool, rich snippets in the search results, like star ratings for products or answers to common questions.
Ah, so that's how those rich snippets work. It's like giving Google a backstage pass to your content. Speaking of giving Google directions, I see XML sitemaps and robots.txt files in your notes. What are those all about?
Those are all about making sure Google can see and understand your website structure and content. An XML sitemap is like a roadmap of your site. You give it to Google so their crawlers can find and index all your pages. Robots.txt is more about setting boundaries. It tells Google which parts of your website they can and can't access.
So it's like, come on in, Google, but don't go poking around in the closet. I like it. So it seems like a lot of this is about making things easier for Google, which helps you rank higher. What about HTTPS encryption? I know that's important for security, but does it play a role in SEO too?
Absolutely. Security is the main reason for HTTPS, but it's actually become a ranking factor too. Google wants to promote secure websites. So using HTTPS gives you a little boost in rankings.
Okay, so we've got website speed, responsive design, structured data, sitemaps, robots.txt, and HTTPS. That's a lot of technical stuff.
It is, but these are all the foundation of good SEO.
Okay, it's all starting to make sense now. But even if we have a perfectly optimized website, how do we actually get people to visit it? That's where digital marketing comes in, right?
Yeah, It looks like you've been researching a lot of different digital marketing strategies too.
I have, I have. Should we dive into those next?
Let's do it. Okay, so we've got that solid technical SEO foundation, but now we need to actually get people to the website.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's the point of having this amazing website if nobody is there to see it?
Exactly. And that's where content marketing comes in. I see you've been doing a lot of research on that, and it seems like you really get how powerful it can be to create good content. But how do you stand out? There is just so much stuff out there already. Blogs, videos, podcasts. How do you make yours stand out from all the noise?
Yeah, that's the big question. I've been playing around with some tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush. Have those been helpful for you in figuring out what kind of content to create?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Tools like those are super helpful for keyword research, you
Yeah.
know? Figuring out what people are actually searching for online. Instead of just writing about whatever you feel like, you can see what's trending and what people are actually looking for, and then create content that meets those needs.
So it's like being a detective. But instead of solving crimes, you're solving content mysteries.
Yeah, I like that.
You're figuring out what your audience wants and then giving it to them in a way that's engaging and helpful.
Exactly. And once you've got that amazing content, you need to promote it.
Yeah.
And that's where social media comes in.
Okay, social media. It can feel like a whirlwind sometimes. I see notes here on Instagram, LinkedIn, even TikTok. Any tips for navigating that crazy world?
Honestly, the best advice I can give is focus on the platforms where your audience is. If you're trying to reach professionals, LinkedIn is probably your best bet. If you're going for a younger crowd, maybe TikTok or Instagram. And don't forget about analytics. Most platforms will give you data on who is engaging with your content, which can help you refine your approach.
So it's like a constant feedback loop. Put stuff out there, see what works, and then adjust.
Exactly.
And it's not just about toasting, right? You got to engage with people, respond to comments, build relationships.
Yeah, social media is all about being social. It's a two-way street.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of building relationships, email marketing is still a big one, right? For connecting with people and building those long-term relationships. I see you've been looking at MailChimp and ConvertKit.
Yeah, you got it.
I like the idea of building an email list, but also seems kind of daunting. Any tips for getting started with that?
MailChimp and ConvertKit are both great options for beginners. They make it really easy to create nice-looking emails, and you can segment your audience, automate campaigns. And the cool thing about email is you own that connection. You're not relying on some algorithm like on social media.
That's a good point. It's like having your own dedicated channel. But what if we want to see results faster, like right now?
If you need that immediate boost, pay-per-click advertising can be a good option. You mentioned Google Ads in your research.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but it always seemed kind of mysterious. Like, how do you even know what keywords to target? And how do you make sure you're not just wasting money?
PPC is all about getting the right message in front of the right people at the right time. You can target specific keywords, demographics, even interest. So you're only paying for clicks from people who are actually interested in what you offer. And the good thing about Google Ads is you can start small and then scale up as you get more comfortable.
So it's about being strategic and testing things out to see what works best.
Yeah.
You mentioned influencer marketing earlier, too. I'm curious to hear more about that.
So influencer marketing is all about partnering with people who already have a following and influence in your niche.
So it's like borrowing their credibility and reach to get your message out there.
Exactly. And while it might seem like you should go for the influencers with millions of followers, sometimes it's actually better to work with micro-influencers. They might have smaller audiences, but their followers are often more engaged and loyal.
It's not just about reach. It's about the right kind of reach.
Okay.
It looks like you've also been thinking about turning this knowledge into a freelance career or online business.
Yeah, I have. You sent over some really interesting stuff on different freelancing opportunities.
Cool. Should we take a look at those?
Yeah, let's explore that world and see what's out there.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. From the nuts and bolts of SEO to all the different digital marketing strategies, and then even like the whole world of freelancing. It's like we've opened up this huge treasure chest of digital opportunities.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to think about, but I think what's really interesting is how all these pieces connect together.
Right. It's not just about mastering one specific skill or tactic. It's about understanding how it all fits together to build that whole online presence.
And that's when things really start to take off.
Absolutely. You've been exploring this from a freelancing angle, which I find super fascinating. What specific opportunities have you been looking at?
Well, given how interested you are in the technical side of SEO, offering SEO consulting services could be a good path. You could help businesses get their websites in top shape, improve their search rankings, and get them more traffic.
It's like being a digital detective, right?
Yeah.
Uncovering hidden potential and helping these businesses shine online. And then if you're more into the creative side, content creation is another big one. Blogging, podcasting, video, all of that.
Yeah, there's so much you can do.
And that's what I love about the digital world. There's something for everyone.
That's the beauty of it. And with e-commerce booming the way it is, you've also been looking into starting your own online store.
I have. The idea of selling stuff online has always been really appealing to me, but it also feels like a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, I get it. But platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce make it surprisingly easy to get started. And you're even researching dropshipping, right? Which takes away the whole hassle of dealing with inventory.
Dropshipping definitely seems interesting. It's like a way to test out different product ideas without a ton of risk.
Yeah, it's all about experimenting and finding what works for you.
It seems like that's a big theme in everything we've talked about today. Experimenting, adapting, always learning new things.
Absolutely. That's how you stay ahead in the digital world. It's constantly changing.
It can definitely feel overwhelming sometimes, especially with how competitive it is out there.
Yeah, there's no denying it's competitive, but it's also a sign that there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So, in such a crowded space, how do you stand out?
Well, one of the most effective things you can do, and something you've been researching, is niching down.
Niching down.
It basically means instead of trying to be everything to everyone, you focus on one specific area and become the expert in that area.
So, like, instead of offering generic social media marketing services, I might specialize in social media for sustainable fashion brands. Or instead of being a general SEO consultant, I focus specifically on e-commerce SEO.
Exactly. By narrowing your focus, you attract a specific audience who are looking for exactly what you offer.
It's like quality over quantity, becoming known for your expertise within a specific community.
And that ties into another important concept you've been looking at, which is building a personal brand.
Right. It's not just what you know, it's who you are and how you present yourself online.
Exactly. Share your knowledge, your unique perspective. Let people get to know you, like you, trust you.
It's all about building those genuine connections, just like in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of connections, you've also been researching the importance of networking and collaborating.
That's right. It's not just what you know,
Yeah.
it's who you know. Even in the digital world, those relationships matter.
Big time. Going to industry events, joining online groups, connecting with other professionals, those are all great ways to learn from each other and expand your reach.
It's about building that support system and working together.
And of course, we can't forget about staying up to date.
Right. With how fast things change online, it's easy to fall behind.
Yeah, you got to keep learning webinars, industry blogs, experimenting with new tools. Make it a habit.
Be a lifelong learner, that's the key.
And one last thing you've been really focusing on in your research is the importance of customer experience.
Oh yeah, happy customers are the best marketing you can get.
For sure. Go above and beyond for your clients. Get testimonials. Ask for referrals. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful.
And all about building trust and exceeding expectations.
So, to sum it all up, niching down, building your brand, networking, staying updated, and focusing on customer experience, those are the things that will help you thrive in this competitive digital world.
So much good stuff. It's a lot to process, but it's also really inspiring.
It is. There's so much potential out there. And I think the most important takeaway for you today is this.
What's that?
You have everything you need to succeed online. Don't be afraid to try things out, to learn, to grow.
It's about embracing the journey and all the possibilities that come with it.
Exactly. So as you continue to explore SEO, digital marketing, and freelancing, stay curious, stay persistent, and never stop pushing the boundaries.
Great advice. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive today, but this is just the beginning for you.
Remember, the digital world is your oyster. Go make your mark.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring all the amazing possibilities out there.